So I had made a video that I wanted to redo. I had put up and I took it down, and not for any real reasons or nothing like that, but just because I was um, a little dry. I had just woke up. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking a little crazy, a little sleepy and stuff like that, talking kind of slow in the video. So I just wanted to put it up. Hopefully I can remember everything that I was touching on. But so I just wanted to point out and something that I've been noticing and paying a lot of attention to is this big chess game that we are kind of living in. You know what I mean? Um, whether it's on a grand scale or on a minute scale, individual scale, personal scale, you know, we're living in like a huge chess game. We understand that the world that we're living in is a battle between good and evil. You know what I'm saying? We live within a great conflict between the forces of light and the forces of darkness. And so um, I had noticed one thing. I had noticed something. Um, in like the early 2000s, there was a lot of information that was coming out about the Illuminati and Luciferianism and brotherhoods and these satanic cults and agendas and stuff like that. That's in in the music industry and in the entertainment industry was probably the most prevalent and what people seen a lot about. But it was a lot of exposing going on, not only in the entertainment industry, but in the banking systems, you know what I'm saying, and the government and with politicians, different things of that nature. So God had just began to shine a light on a lot of what was going on in the music industry and all of these other industries, right? And began to show that there's a lot of Luciferianism. It's a lot of Freemasonic um, agendas that people are following and that people are getting wrapped up in. You know what I mean? And that showing how Lucifer has his people definitely in positions of power and in positions of influence. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people was beginning to get awakened to a lot of this stuff and seeing these celebrities, some Jay-Z's and Rihanna's and Beyonce's and different celebrities beginning to see a lot of the satanic nature that they was about and that they was affiliated with. I'm throwing up signs, Jay-Z wearing "Do What Thou Wilt" shirts, and you know what I mean, in reflection of Aleister Crowley and different things like that. So these people are showing themselves, and through their music and through their so-called art, they showing themselves to be Satanists. You know what I mean? And having a lot of affiliations with the side of the enemy. And so God had just began to expose a lot of that. You could hear the average Joe, regular people talking about who was Illuminati and who was a devil worshiper and who was doing this and who was doing that. You know what I mean? And so that was a chess move. That was a move that God had put on the board of shining a light on these people that's influenced, especially, in the entertainment industry. A lot of people look up to a lot of these people. A lot of people worship these celebrities who worship the devil. You know what I mean? And like I said, I just want to say off the jump too, I don't have to use Illuminati or use a hand symbol or anything of that nature to prove that these people have sold themselves to Satan, that these people are wicked, that these people are affiliated with the forces of darkness. You know what I mean? You don't have to go and find anything um, about the Illuminati or anything deep and go searching to look at this stuff. All you got to do is listen to their music. You know what I mean? And you can see who they stand for and who they don't, what they're about and what they're not. And they're not on the side of righteousness. You know what I mean? So that's one issue, one thing right there that I wanted to point out. Because some people would say, you go fishing for stuff, you go looking for stuff, and people trying to make things what they want them to be, or conspiracy theory and this, that, and the other. Well, it's real prevalent in the type of music and the stuff that these people put out, the stuff that they support, who they worshiping, and the influences that they know that they have on people, and what that does to society. Now, those are people, they're people themselves, right? And they do what they want to do with their lives. They make decisions for their lives, and everybody makes decisions for their own lives. You know what I mean? But you have to understand that if there is a God, if there is a devil, then there's going to be people who are in power who are going to be used for agendas and who are going to be used to further the kingdom of Satan. And when we look at a lot of these celebrities, and what some people have to understand is that it's in the government, it's in the courts, it's in the banking, and all of those things. Satan has his people in place in order to further his causes and to further his agenda. So God had began to shine a light on all of that. He had began to expose a lot of these people for being devil worshippers. The term Illuminati, which is a term that I don't necessarily like to use because it's been overdone and overplayed, and you know what I mean, for a long time. And people just use, even when you hear the term, you kind of almost want to write it off now. You know what I mean? But it means that, to be illuminated. They view themselves as illuminated ones. And it's because they were followers of Lucifer, which means light bearer. You know what I mean? Understanding who Lucifer was and what he did in the kingdom of heaven, him reflecting the glory and the light of God, right? So they look at themselves as being enlightened or illuminated individuals who have knowledge and understanding about certain things that the average Joe doesn't, that the average person doesn't know or understand. And to an extent, they are correct, because a lot of these people, they are in contact with spirits and demons, you know what I'm saying? And so they do give them guidance, they do give them information, they do give them agendas, they do give them orders and instructions on things that they're supposed to do. And they, not only that, but they work through a lot of these individuals, a lot of these artists, to create some of the art and policies, or whatever area that they are in. They work through these individuals to get done what the enemy wants to have done in the world, right? And so that was something that God was doing very heavily. He exposed a lot of that, right? So that was a chess move, right? So now if we look at what's going on today, we look in 2020, right? And when you begin to say or show people some of the things that is going on with some of these celebrities, I had mentioned that Beyonce came out with the album Black is King, right? And so we can look at her music, we can look at the imagery and the videos and different things of that nature, even things that they saying and singing about, and you can see a lot of the Luciferianism in it, right? Well, I thought I had a package. I have a package coming. And you can see, the demonic nature behind what's going on. So God shines a light on the Illuminati. He shines a light on devil worship. He shines a light on the agendas of Satan and having these people in different positions and things of that nature, right? So God shows that these people are wicked. These people are evil. These people are not serving him. They're serving the enemy, right? So a lot of people begin to realize that and say, man, these dudes is devil worshippers and this, that, and the other, So you have some begin to draw back. You have, an expose happening. So Satan's respond move is to bring about another movement that in a sense justifies, basically the demonic nature to which a lot of these people are following, right? And so we had a conscious community, and we had a conscious movement today, right? And so when you look at if I point out to somebody the demonic symbolism and nature behind Beyonce video or something to that nature, right? Because we have this movement of black consciousness, right? People are trying to get more aware of their African heritage, trying to get more aware and get closer connected with who they are, as far as the continent of Africa is concerned, and, things of that nature. Then now the response is, oh no, this isn't evil. This isn't demonic. This is black culture. This is, African culture. This is African spirituality. So you may be a Christian, you may have your own spirituality, but what's wrong with us having African spirituality? Why is it that when we look at these things, we look at a lot of this stuff, you can say that it's evil? What makes it evil? You know what I mean? And they'll say that, you only believe it's evil because it's African or this, that, and the other. So when we look at the, a lot of things like the pyramids with the all-seeing eye, you know what I mean? That's the eye of Horus and different things of that nature. Horus is a Egyptian deity, right? And so, when they look at these things, they say, well, we don't see anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. You have a lot of even black people going back into following voodoo and, doing just a lot of different things because they look at it as this is our culture. This is the things that our ancestors practiced. These are the things that they believed in. So what's really wrong with it? You know what I mean? And so they'll tell you that it's nothing wrong with the things that's going on. So God shined the light and showed that there was a lot of demonic nature and things behind it. And that was his chess move on the board. And Satan's chess move in response was, they will still accept it. They will still go along with it. I will make them, even though you've shown that the demonic nature behind a lot of these things, I'm going to give them reason and justification behind continuing in these things. You know what I'm saying? And so that reason and justification is basically black consciousness. You know what I mean? And so that is a deception. A lot of people in their mind, they believe that if something is black, if something is African, if something is, comes from our heritage and different things of that nature, then it can't be wrong, it can't be evil, it can't be demonic. You know what I mean? And that's nothing but a deception. That's a very, very strong deception because what is going on essentially, us as black people, a lot of us are looking for identity. A lot of us are looking for culture. A lot of us are looking for value and different things of that nature. So if I attach myself to my African identity, my African culture, to an extent, I take pride in these things. I'm going to stand for them pretty hard. I'm going to fight for them pretty hard. You know what I mean? So if somebody is saying something against it, then I have a problem with that, And so it's hard to show people, where the spirit of wickedness is within these things because they judge what's good and bad. They judge what's right and wrong based off of what they believe and perceive to be theirs or their heritage or what their ancestors did. And so that's one thing that we as black people have to get to understand is that just because something is black or just because our ancestors practiced something or did something, their customs and their traditions does not mean that that's the right way to go. It doesn't mean that that's the true way to go. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that that's that that's the that's the correct way to go or even the safe way to go because you have a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of things that and inviting spirits and stuff into their homes, into their houses, into their relationships, and they don't really know the type of stuff that they playing with. So what something that we also have to understand is that a lot of the wickedness and a lot of the spiritual activity that goes on in this world came from African people. You would hear a lot of them say that, well, we was kings, we was queens, we was this and we was that, back in the days and at in a certain time, and they don't understand that Africans were practicing in a lot of things that was wicked. And that's the reason why we are not in positions of power. We're not, as we were at the beginning of civilization, because a lot of wickedness came from Africans, and in and of themselves. You have to go back to looking at Nimrod, and Nimrod was responsible for being the conspirator to build the Tower of Babel. And what the Tower of Babel was about was basically people were deciding that we're going to follow our own selves. We're going to be our own gods. They were angry at God, and so they say we're going to build us a name in the heavens. We're going to, build a name for ourselves. And they wanted to build the tower up to heaven so that they could basically compete against God. Well, that's the same thing with the Illuminati. You know what I mean? They're trying to compete against God. They're trying to go to war against God. You know what I'm saying? So they trying to build a name for themselves. That's why they use a lot of that African symbolism and, pyramids and the all-seeing eyes and, different things of that nature that you would perceive and say, well, this is African culture, so there's nothing wrong with it. But a lot of these people, they know the truth behind, a lot of those symbols. And that's the reason why they use them, because they are trying to connect with those spirits who were initially going about in their endeavors to try to fight against God. You know what I mean? And so just because something It's African. If you don't know Nimrod, Nimrod was the son of Cush. You know what I mean? And Cush was the son of Ham. So Nimrod was grandfather was Ham. Ham is the one who brought forth the African nations. You had the three brothers, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But so yeah, so a lot of those things came from Africans. A lot of those things came from black people. Some of those things that we would consider and we would see and call paganism. You know what I mean? Now, you may say, well, that's my culture, or that's the culture of my ancestors. So I don't see it to be a wrong thing or to be a bad thing. You believe that because you believe in the white man's religion or whatnot, right? And that's fine. Let's say that that's your position. What you have to do is find a better ground and a better foundation for how you judge what's evil and what's righteous and what's not. Because to just say that, if they practiced it, then it's good, or if they did it, then it's okay, it's acceptable, then I can do it, then I'm gonna submit to you that you playing with fire when you come with a foundation like that. So and I would also submit to you that that is proof that what you believe about it being okay to follow, it should show you that it's not, because it's deception right at the forefront of it that has you believing that, if something is black or if something is African, then that makes it safe and that makes it right and that makes it holy to do. You know what I mean? And that should not be the standard for, you should have a higher ground of standard for what you judge is good or what you judge as evil, you know. So yeah, so that's just something that I see, and I've been seeing a lot of different things that shows that we kind of in this huge chess game, you know what I mean? And we have to be in our position and play our positions in the spirit, because Satan has his people aligned and they are definitely following and carrying out his orders, and we have to do the same thing for the Most High. I also want to as far as so that's one thing that I was seeing on a big scale. God exposing a lot of the evilness and the wickedness and the demonic nature, and how these people were pretty much devil worshippers, you know what I mean? And because Satan brought about devil worship and Luciferianism through many different cultures, right? He can use some of the past cultures and past symbolism and different things of that nature today and cause you to feel okay with it, as long as you accept the culture. And if we are black and it's something that comes from black culture, then of course most people are going to accept it because they take it as though it's their own. Nothing is my own. I don't accept nothing that anybody did just because they're my own race. I understand that people can be black and still be wicked. People can be black and still be evil. You know what I'm saying? Just like you can be white and be evil, and you can be Asian and be evil, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't accept things or practice something just because my people did it, and a lot of those things come from ancestral worship. A lot of people worship the ancestors and things of that nature, and so they see those things as okay, right? But they're really not. So one thing that kind of turned people off from the whole Illuminati thing in the first place is that a lot of people, you have to understand, are still endeavoring to try to be, in this world system. They're trying to still build their kingdom on this earth. They want to build their treasures on this earth, and so in them trying to do that, they don't want to hear you telling them that, people are wicked, people are devil worshippers, and they sold their soul, and that's the reason why they are reaching certain plights or getting, certain success that they have, because they trying to enter into that world. They're trying to enter into that, and they don't want to feel like, they can't make it. Some people say, they hate that whole idea of it because it makes it like these people didn't work for what they had. These people didn't work, it didn't take hard work, but they just sold their soul to the devil, and that's the reason why they're successful. That's not necessarily what the truth is. A lot of these people, a lot of these celebrities, they probably worked hard, to get where they at. A lot of them put in a lot of work, to be known and to be established and different things of that nature. So it's not saying that, they didn't do anything. They just sold out to the devil and now they're successful. No, these people probably worked hard to get to where they at. But as you begin to work hard and as you begin to grow and you start to get to, get to certain places and deal with certain people, deal with different people who have different ideologies, people who have different outlooks on life, people who have, they in a different tax bracket, they have different influence and power and things of that nature. You come across people who have different agendas for the world. You know what I mean? And they are in positions of power. And so in order for you to continue in a successful state, in order for you to be able to go into certain arenas and to do certain things, you have to kind of go along with what these people's agendas are and what their plans are for the world. You know what I'm saying? And so some people are down with it and some people sell out. Some people get used and don't necessarily know what they're doing. You know what I mean? But to say that there is no such thing as certain brotherhoods, when we grew up around brotherhood, we grew up around gangs, and all of those things is nothing but um low level symbols, and just a practice and a representation of things that are actually taking place in higher levels. There's gangs, you know, but they may be called something else. You know what I'm saying? Freemasonry is very real. Freemasonry is about the infiltration of society, infiltrating every area of society so that they can have power and have influence in every area of society. And so these things are definitely taking place. There are definitely brotherhoods. There are definitely people who don't like God, who don't like the restrictions of God, who don't like the rules and the laws of God. You know what I'm saying? And so they want to come after God. You know what I'm saying? And come after his people and come after his world and create it and mold it in the way that they want it to be molded into. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to point that out, that there is a big chess game that's going on and you have to be able to pay attention. That's why you can't get caught up in every movement. You can't get caught up in every agenda and everything that you see going on, even if you feel like it pertains to you or it pertains to your race or your people or whatever. In these times that we living in, you're going to have to practice isolation, and you're going to have to practice holiness. And holiness just means to be set apart. It means to be separate. It means to be consecrated, right? It means to be outside of the normal flow of society. And so you cannot follow what society is doing. You cannot follow everything that society is trying to advance or everything that society is trying to implement. You know what I mean? You have to be separate, and so that you can know what's going on, because there's going to be a lot of things. And Satan plays on the emotions. He plays on the flesh. He plays on the carnal mind. He plays on your thoughts and different things of that nature. And so if you're moving in your flesh, then you're going to be able to get caught up in whatever the devil is doing. And you're just going to be another pawn in his chess game. You know what I'm saying? But I want to be one of those pieces that's used for the Most High. I want to be a piece that God is using to try to bring light and to try to bring righteousness, to try to bring glory, and to try to bring His kingdom, rather than Satan's kingdom. So pay attention to things that's going on around you. They're not happening for no reason. Things that may seem small, things on a minute schedule, are actually a lot bigger, because there's moves that are being made on both sides, right? There's a lot of pieces on the board, and there's a lot of agendas at play, and there's moves for power and for control. So you want to make sure that you on the side of the one who is all powerful, right? So all praise to the Most High, Yahuwah, Elohim, by way of his only begotten Son, Yahushua, Hamashiach, who the world knows as Jesus Christ. Peace.